Hi, this is Ryan with Optrua. Today we're going to be talking about the sales pipeline and how it fits within CRM. This is the first video in our CRM series, and if you have any questions, leave them below, and that will help us understand what to do next. Okay, so everybody's heard of the sales pipeline or sales funnel. So let me just draw a picture of it. So you're going to have a funnel-looking graphic on a dashboard. It's going to have multiple sales stages, right? And then coming into the pipeline at the top, you're going to have different marketing channels that are coming in and feeding new information into the funnel from different marketing sources. And then as you work the sales deal through the pipeline, you're going to start with low quality, low probability deals. And then as it progresses down the funnel, they become more and more likely until finally at the bottom, it turns into revenue. Our hope is to provide great content for you. So if you like what you're seeing and it's helpful to understand your sales process better, please like and subscribe below. So that's a quick representation, and then showing within CRM is where we're going next. In how do we show this inside of a CRM system and make this work? So let's go there next. These 4 boxes represent the different things that are inside of a CRM system, different screens, if you will, that show a progression through that pipeline. So we start with a lead, and the lead flows into an opportunity. The opportunity is quoted, and the quote that is selected is turned into an order. So the lead is just very basic information. It's unqualified, but it is structured like person's name, company name, email, potentially. The lead then is qualified, turns into an opportunity. An opportunity is the deal itself, tracks the deal, how much it is, when it might happen. The quote is the company's promise to the customer, hey, you can get these goods and services for this dollar amount. And the order is the client's or the customer's overall promise back to the first company saying, yes, I will pay that amount for these goods and services. Okay, so coming into the lead are the different marketing channels that you might be using to drive leads. So these channels are various. They can be digital, they could be the old school analog ones, but they're things like SEO, trade shows, landing pages, just all the different things that you spend marketing dollars on that you're trying to generate leads that then will be handled by your sales team. So the next piece, once you've understood channels, is to understand who's playing what role within your company or your teams. So I'm going to draw these little imaginary lines here. And on this side of the first line is you have the marketing department. And I'm going to just draw a little person there. In the middle area, we have sales. And at the end would be, operations or delivery or whatever you want to call it. And what I'm drawing are just general terms. It's not specific. Each company might be a little bit different, but typically marketing handles leads and all the way to get leads. Sales takes those leads and makes opportunities and quotes, and typically ops or delivery or whoever is taking on orders. The thing that gets us from lead to opportunity is a process called qualify. And then getting a quote over the fence to orders is just a process of winning the quote. So here you have marketing. Well, then to get from marketing to sales, you qualify. From sales to ops, you win the deal. And at the end of all of that, you get to revenue. Often when we're consulting with a client, we're trying to help create a structure out of maybe a little bit of chaos. Up until we're working with them, maybe people are playing multiple roles all simultaneously. They're wearing multiple hats. The marketing people are kind of dipping into sales. The salespeople might be dipping into marketing. There's not clear lines. One of the things that we do is we'll help marketing understand how to get to a qualified lead, and sales will help understand how to run a sales deal properly from start to finish, and just get those trade-offs well structured so that it's clear and everybody knows what they're responsible for. Okay, so let's take an example company, say a company that makes hats, baseball type hats, and maybe they go to trade shows. And at the trade shows, they have a number of people come by their booth, look at samples, and say they're interested in knowing more information. So after the trade show, they go in as leads. The data will be like name and address and phone number and email. From the lead, that is then qualified, and it becomes an opportunity. That opportunity has that same information that flows over. Salespeople will call and kind of interact with that person, that account in contact, and potentially make a quote for, say, 50 hats. Maybe the hats are customized, maybe they're stitched a certain way, a certain color, certain quality, and there might be multiple quotes. Then after interacting and negotiating back and forth, the salesperson then will win one of the quotes, and that will then turn into an order for, say, 50 hats. And once you have an order, then that turns into revenue. Now we're going to just add some additional detail and reiterate kind of the main building blocks of this flow. So remembering that the lead is kind of like a business card. It's just flat information. It has the basic details, but it doesn't really contain any rich context. The opportunity, however, is now qualified. Somebody's validated that, hey, this is a real person really wanting to do business with you. And the opportunity is going to contain an account, a contact, most likely, a primary contact. And it might have, it will have an estimated dollar amount and a close date, a projected close date. With this basic information, account, contact, estimated dollar amount, and close date, that's enough information to build our funnel. Then we get over to the quote. The quote, you might have multiple quotes, so we can have a couple of different quotes in there. And one quote might be for, maybe 20 hats, some particular, lower cost option. You might have something for, say, this is 20. Maybe there's a more custom option for 50 hats, and it's a bigger dollar amount. And maybe there's a third option for 100 hats. And through that quoting process, a customer and a salesperson are going to work together and define, okay, which of these quotes is going to be the right quote? Maybe it's this 50. And so then the order is going to be placed for 50 hats. Okay, so let me zero in on just the part that's in the domain of sales. So if you think about this juncture or this combination of opportunity and quote, that's typically what is called the deal, or hey, what am I doing? What am I selling? What's the process? And that deal might be broken up into different stages. And those stages you can think of aligning with those bands that were in the pipeline. As you move down the deal, you're getting closer and closer to getting an order. Okay, so there's sometimes a lot of confusion just in terminology, right? There's people talk about the deal, the pipeline, the funnel. A lot of these terms are very interchangeable, and it just depends on how you were trained or how you were taught or what systems you have. Really, and the reason I laid out the opportunity and the quote the way that I did, because together, those two things comprise the sales process. And like I mentioned, that can be called a pipeline, it can be called a deal, but it's opportunity and quote together. The opportunity is the total value of the deal, and the quote are just all the different iterations. You might want 50 hats at some particular level of quality and stitching. You might want 100, you might want, different price points. And each of those different options might be different quotes with their own dollar amount. So you can't really add up the quotes to get to your pipeline. You have to have something else like the opportunity that carries the value to put on the pipeline. Okay, so just to kind of bring this all the way home, you can kind of think of the section between when sales first gets a deal and when they win the deal as kind of the visual of your sales funnel. It's just starting from the first qualification, moving down the process until you get to a completed deal or an order. So just to kind of align everybody with different terminology, often, the pipeline might be called the funnel, might be called the deal, might be called a number of different things just based on how you learned about sales. None of that matters. What I'm trying to just show is the progression and how you monitor opportunity flow to quote what your deal is and how you can create different sales stages and then measure the progress of sales through your organization. You wouldn't imagine, well, you maybe would, but companies are so backwards. They're so broken sometimes. And your marketing people are selling, your salespeople are marketing, your ops people are doing, who knows what, everybody's just running around doing stuff. And and you can imagine if you got everybody doing everything, it's like a bunch of kids playing soccer. And if you've ever seen that, it's like everybody's following the ball all over the field and they're not playing their positions. Is that really good if everybody's running around after the deal? Or is it better for us to understand what's the boundaries between one person, what are the handoffs, from marketing to sales to ops? And a lot of the job that we do with companies is trying to help them better, create a better process where marketing, here's the handoff from marketing to sales. It needs these criteria. From sales to win a deal, it needs these criteria. And you think that that's so simple, but that's really a key thing that we do when we help create a system or automate a sales process. Is CRM for everybody? Really is kind of the question. Maybe CRM isn't for everybody. I haven't found that person yet, but where we get to is you'll get to a point where you can no longer grow your company to the speed or level that you'd like to, because your data flow isn't happening. You're having people create duplicate records. You're having data quality issues. The systems themselves are holding you back. So why people turn to CRM is that they understand that their own internal processes are so complicated and convoluted that they can't grow the way they want to. So a company might be at 100 million and their goal is to get to 200 million in revenue, or from 200 to 400, but they realize that they can't add more people because their process is so labor intensive. That's when automation comes in. I've been consulting for over 20 years in the space of CRM and sales process automation. I'd love to interact with you. Please ask some questions below if there's something specific to your CRM implementation or sales process that you'd like help with. If you do like the video, please like and subscribe, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.